shifted 50 times its weight in sand, and travelled over 1 kilometre through the hostile Kalahari. Now the cool underground den is calling. Time for a well-earned siesta with the kids. Out in the American Wild West, another family has scratched out a home underground. These critters are prairie dogs. A family consists of a male with several females and their young. Families join together to form coteries, and the coteries combine into huge underground cities that can cover 400 hectares. The females make up to 300 trips to collect enough grass to line their nests. And in true Wild West style, strangers aren't welcome in these parts. It's a duel at high noon. It's a dogfight. Actually, they're not dogs at all, but are related to squirrels. And once the intruder's been chased away, they get back to family life. Now, over the ocean and under the sea.
These puffins have spent the whole winter out in the North Atlantic, bobbing on the surface like corks and diving for fish. But April ignites an irrepressive urge to head for shore. They fly to cliff tops as far afield as North America, Iceland, Scandinavia, and northern Russia. They're heading for their summer houses. Their clownish costume is the puffin version for dressing up for the breeding season. In winter, their bills are dull and the well-loved birds are barely recognizable. But now, resplendent in their fancy costumes, they're ready for courtship. Year after year, they return to the same cliffs, the same burrows. These underground shelters have been empty all winter, so getting them ready for occupation can be a dirty job. Time for the puffin pairs to get reacquainted. The male's curious head flicks are to woo his female. Puffing up his cheeks is body language that warns other males to keep their distance. A spot of fencing with their bills might look like fighting, but this is the birds' way of renewing their vows with their nearest and dearest. The cliff-top mating is quickly over. And this male entices his partner into their burrow with some more billing. Intruders to the party are always thrown out, but this daring visitor managed to sneakily mate with a female before being chased off by her outraged man. Soon, all the happy couples are busy collecting dry grass with which to make a soft lining for their nests. Their stubby wings make them inelegant flyers, but they still head out to sea for fish. But once they dip beneath the surface, they're excellent swimmers, seeming to fly through the water far better than they do through the air. They can dive down an incredible 60 meters to reach the shoaling fish they like. By midsummer, the puffins are regularly returning to their homes, their beaks packed with fish, a sure sign that inside their burrows, their solitary egg has hatched into a puffling. But flying anywhere in these parts, especially with a tempting beak full of food, is a risky endeavor. There are sky pirates intent on aerial robbery. And some skyjackers even eat the puffins themselves. The surviving fishermen return from the deep with their hard-won catch and feed their ravenous youngsters. After a few weeks of gulping down as much as they can, the pufflings have to give up their snug burrows and take their first flight into this. With their parents gone, the fledglings can only survive for a few days before they must take the plunge and start fishing for their own meals. Then, over sea and underwater, they'll have the vast expanse of the North Atlantic to harvest. Another vast expanse is the world's first national park, the 80,000 hectares of Yellowstone. It has 10,000 hot springs, mud pots, and steam vents. Together, these generate lots of heat, enough to run 3 billion light bulbs for an hour. So, where does all this power come from? Well, hidden from view, beneath a fault in the earth, is a massive underground magma chamber, 72 kilometers long and 48 wide. It's bigger than any city in the world, and it could erupt at any moment. Snaking up the Atlantic coast of southern Africa is the Namib Desert. An average rainforest receives nearly 2,000 millimeters of rain a year. Here, they get just 50. And temperatures can soar to 40 degrees.
It's the last place on Earth you'd expect to find a frog. But one amazing amphibian does reside here, surviving by spending the long hot days underground. The rain frog's rounded body and short, stubby legs are ideal for burying itself in the sand. Just a few centimeters beneath the surface, the temperature can drop significantly. It's after sundown that this sun-shunning creature really comes into its own. Emerging from its sandy tomb, it forages for food. Termites provide a nourishing snack and a little moisture. But to survive, the frog needs more water than this, and it tops up its quota in an ingenious way. Just off the coast, which is rarely more than 50 kilometers away, the cold Atlantic currents cool the air, forming dense banks of fog. The wind carries the fog inland, where it condenses on the desert plants. The water droplets dampen the sand below, where the rain frog sits and waits, mopping up the precious moisture with its blotting paper skin. But all too soon, the scorching Namib sun is back. Time for the rain frog, who rarely sees any real rain, to take a dive underground for yet another day. Meanwhile, back in the Wild West, squatters have moved in. Most owls roost and nest in trees, but not burrowing owls. They take advantage of the prairie dog's enormous underground towns and set up their homes there. An adaptation that enables them to live in open, treeless areas, like the Great Plains of America. Now an army of billions advancing on Europe. A miniature invasion on an enormous scale, all along the Mediterranean coastline.
Over 6,000 kilometers of coast, from Portugal through Spain and France to Italy, has been claimed by the Argentinian ant. Billions of ants from millions of nests. It's a super colony. In fact, it's a super colony, the largest community of animals ever recorded. They're known to be extremely aggressive, even attacking much larger opponents. They're aliens. They don't belong here, and they could destroy the native ants. Scientists from Lausanne University are trying to find out how the ants can exist in such oversized colonies, and what effect this might have on the locals. Ants will usually fight and kill intruders from other nests. This prevents super colonies from forming. So how do the Argentinians manage it? The researchers need to find out. But first, they must round up some of the invaders. Although Argentinian ants make their homes far underground, they spend a lot of time above ground searching for food. Still, they're not that easy to catch. But our researchers have developed an interesting collection technique, a human-powered vacuum cleaner. You don't want to suck too hard, though. Finally, mission successful, and it's back to the lab. Ants from one nest all have the same smell, so if an ant doesn't smell right, it means it's not a nest mate, and that triggers a battle to the death. The Lausanne researchers want to see what happens when they put together two Argentinian ants from different nest sites. Will there be a fatal punch-up? There they are in the ring. Let battle commence. Just like normal ants, these strangers do fight. It's a bitter struggle that leaves the loser legless. So the plot thickens. If the ants fight, how do separate nests combine into super colonies? It should just result in a super war. Two more contestants are put in the ring. Just like the first pair, they're from different nests. But this time, they're not at all aggressive. It seems that some of the Argentinian ants have learnt not to fight, and that's the secret of their success. Living in peace, the colonies can merge, grow bigger and bigger, devour all the food, and squeeze the natives out. It's a desperate race against time. The researchers have to find a way to stop the invaders before the European ants are undermined and overwhelmed. And ants aren't the only ones poking their noses in where they're not wanted. This bull snake is after a pocket gopher. But the gopher quickly barricades his tunnel with fresh earth. Frustrated, the snake loses interest and decides to seek a tasty morsel elsewhere. Keen to avoid any more unwelcome visitors, the gopher quickly blocks up the ground level entrance too. Most plants keep their roots firmly beneath the ground, but some like to be different.
Mangroves have their roots all over the place. Some are dug into the coastal mud, which of course is covered by tidal salt water every day. So what do the roots do? They exclude the salt so effectively that the water inside them is pure enough to drink. The mud lacks oxygen, and so the mangrove's aerial roots extract oxygen from the air. And that's not the only unusual thing about these trees. They also produce the next generation in an unexpected way. The seeds grow on the plant as normal, but then go on to develop roots while they're still attached. Before these babies leave home, they're fully developed miniature mangrove trees. When they drop off, a few land in the mud and immediately take hold. But others will make their fortunes on distant shores. This intrepid seedling sets off on a journey into the unknown. Carried by the ocean currents, it can float for up to a year and still remain viable. And where it's headed, there are already mangroves. In fact, it's hard to go anywhere in the tropics without finding these incredible plants. From the Far East to the Everglades, they create a unique habitat, home to many different animal species. Taking advantage of the rich fishing ground, herons and egrets stand sentinel. Below them, the tangled web of mangrove roots are like a huge safety net, sheltering hundreds of different fish. In these parts, strange creatures are on the prowl. The tiny alligator youngsters are vulnerable, but Mum keeps a protective lookout, even giving the occasional piggyback ride. This is the way to go. Our seedling finally arrives on the foreign shore. And is greeted by many brethren. Across the globe, mangroves cover 22 million hectares. In years to come, its fantastic roots will harbor many creatures. The tree that lives in 3 worlds: underground, under the water, and overground, all at the same time. Closely watched by the new neighbors.